Hey folks, welcome back to the Horde. Let's see where we are here. Today is Sunday the 13th, about 3:45, 42 degrees outside. You may ask why I'm always checking the time and date. The problem with working nights is you work twice in the same day. Like if I go into work, let's say yesterday, the 12th, right? I would go in the 12th at night shift for the 12th. Or actually, I would go home on the 12th in the morning. Then I'd come back on the 12th at night. So it's like you work twice in one day when you work night shift. So it kind of screws me up. Anyway, you can see it's one of those dank days here in the Hudson Valley. Things are quasi-melted. But I've been obsessed with getting this Cushman running. So I spent quite a bit of time with it today. And first came the theory of changing the carburetor, going to a motorcycle carburetor, that I was just going to give up on the carburetor that was on it. It was a good theory. The only problem is it's not very practical. From what I have currently floating around, and there are a few, this is for a 350 X, a Honda 350X, and this will actually bolt to the manifold that's there, which means now I need a Honda 350X carburetor because I don't currently own one to slip in that hole. So that's not going to work. Given that is just about the correct width, I then took a 200S carburetor. This is all working so well. I took a 200S carburetor, put it on there, and very quickly realized that, I don't know how well you guys could see this. Let's see. You can see that, there you go, that the holes don't really work out. And I really didn't want to carb it and have a vacuum leak and more trouble. So then I went to, this goes to motorcycle, 250 I think, or 350. But once again, this across here, the width just doesn't work out. I can't bolt it up, and I didn't want to hack up a brand new carburetor. And in this case, this carburetor would probably work. But on this side, if you see this thing here, I have a fuel pump. This guy here, this piston is a fuel pump. Plus I have to move that, and which means one of those throttle cable splitters that have two cable pull, one to pull the I don't know what you want to call that, the slide up and down, and another one to actuate the fuel pump, the gas pump, to help it pick up, to go from an idle to running. So given all those troubles, I went back to the original carburetor and I spent a lot of time with it, and I was trying to figure out what its problem was. I took the whole thing apart and went through every path and blew it out and tried everything, and I couldn't figure out how the fuel pump worked. So I took it apart more and looked at it and spent a lot of time with it, and I realized there was this little, I don't know, mylar block, phenolic block of some kind, that when I pulled it out, there was a ball in there, so it's a check valve obviously, and the ball was stuck in position, hence the fuel pump was not working because the ball was stuck downward. So I said, maybe I have it this time. Anyway, so I rebuilt the carburetor yet again. I think this is my third time. So the carburetor is all rebuilt, and I put it back on there and put everything back on. But just to look at this engine a little closer, you can see it's basically like an airplane engine. There's one cylinder, there's the other cylinder under those coils there, right? Big flywheel in the front, flywheel in the back. You can see the exhaust manifold there, crawling under. I think you can see it. Yeah, you can see that exhaust manifold. It's the same on the other side, and there's the intake. There's one intake, and there's the other intake on the other side that goes. So, kind of simple. Anyway, so I rebuilt the carburetor, hooked it all up, gave it a little bit of fuel, then turned the fuel off. I'm wondering, perhaps I also have bad fuel, even in the little tank, because I really haven't tried to do anything with it since the summer, and this thing doesn't hold very much. So, at this point, trying to diagnose a fuel situation, I removed the gas tank as a variable. I put a filter in, put a new gas tank on, and all that. Still had the problem. Then I went the next step of, over the summer, I rebuilt the carburetor, and then I just rebuilt the carburetor again. But this time, I think I got the fuel pump working. Now that I've cooked 5 minutes of your day, let's give this thing a turn and see what happens. I got the choke on. I got the gas off, but I did fill the carburetor. Let's turn the key and see what happens. Not getting much here. Next thing I'm going to do is have to start thinking about what's going on with the spark. Alright, let's try a little bit of starting fluid, and if it doesn't start, now I got to start looking at the spark to see what's going on, because it did fire once yesterday, but I haven't heard it fire today. I'm just spraying a little. It's got a long path to go, so we'll give it a good hoot of that. Once again, if this thing blows up, it's going to be tough on the old butt here. Okay, let's see how she does. I got nothing. Try to choke one more time, and then we're talking check the spark. Maybe my points are dirty. Well, that was a fail. I'm cold and damp, so I'm going to probably wrap it for today. But I just wanted to show you guys my little tag here. If one's familiar with Cushman's, that's 7210, the last 3 digits on that stamped in upper plate. That means it's a 1972. I thought this thing was from the 60s, but it turns out it's from the 70s. It's just, well, it's a little younger than I am, believe it or not. Anyway, folks, live, love, have a great time. Remember, keep your handlebars off the pavement and out of the snow. We'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks.